everybody. Welcome to another Heart to Heart session with myself and my husband, Clifton and Antoinette Sawyer. Let me put our thing up there so whoever comes in will know who we are. There we go. All right, let's see who's here. This is my sissy and my brother in law. Hey, Sister Linda Langdon. And John Greason's in the house. Hey, Kathy, glad you're here. It's storming in Carolina, so hopefully those of you who are wanting to come in, you'll be able to do that. It's rumbling outside, and it's been hot today, but it's not too bad. It's not the worst storm I've ever seen. Everything's been going pretty good today for you, I pray and hope. Let's see, you got something good tonight?
Yeah, I guess everything we talk about is good.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true. Hey, Brother Kessler, glad you're here tonight. Well, let's do our quick affirmation and meditation prayer, whatever you want to call it. We'll do that to set ourselves in place and in motion for this session tonight. My voice has been coming in and out, so I feel like I'm trying to scream a little bit, but I'll be fine. So if you would, I wanted to give everybody just a little bit of time to get here. Let's see. I wanted to make sure that I have enough people in here so they won't come in the middle of this. But anyway, we're not going to wait on them. We'll go ahead and do this. So I want you to just get rid of every distraction, as many distractions as you possibly can. And I want you to sit still. Here comes my sister Pearl. Hey, sweetheart. Yeah, she says storming. Yes, I know it's storming here too, sweetheart. So hopefully we'll stay on and nobody will lose contact with us. Hey, Brother Jonathan. Jonathan's in the house. How you doing, young man? All right, so let's do this. Here comes Sister Sharon. Your God's coming in a little slow, but it's okay. It's okay. What are you thinking about, young man? You're mighty quiet.
Just waiting.
You just waiting. Yeah, Linda. She says she loves a good thunderstorm. Well, I do too. And Jonathan says he's doing great. I'm glad you are. Baby girl's over here flapping her tail, waiting for a treat. Anyway, let's get back to our meditation. So if you would, take a deep breath in. And now release it, let it go, and let everything go with it, every concern of the day, everything that you may have encountered today, let it all go with that breath. Take another deep breath in, and now release it, and all the tension goes with it. All the tension goes with it. And you can say this after me, repeat it after me, or you can simply listen, whichever is easiest for you. Good evening, Dee Dee. Whichever is easiest for you is fine. And this is our love meditation. Love is the collapse of the sense of separation. Love is the desire to remove the gap. Love is the desire to be one and not two. Love can never be demanding, but instead sets one free. Love has no self-interest and is never concerned with winning. Winning is not even in the vocabulary of love. Love has no reason to love. It just is. Love desires nothing from the other. Needing to be right is not the language of love. Love holds no position to argue. And love cannot be threatened. And so it is. So it is. All right. What you got, young man?
It was said that if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our abode with him. He never said coming and leaving. He said coming, and that's it, and staying, making our abode with him.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
we have been made to know that God shows up when there's excitement, music, and praise. And when the praise is gone, we always said God was really with us, like he left because the praise stopped.
Yes.
We often get the idea that God is not there until we thank him. And my point is that I've been established in there's you just can't take a stick and run God off. Anger does not run him off, but it does give off the sense of in your feelings that he's not there. But you can't run something
Mhm.
off that cannot be
Mhm.
threatened,
Yes.
intimidated,
Yes.
and made to be fearful
Yes.
because a darkness shows up. When darkness shows up, God still ain't left. We used to
Exactly.
think that in our day of brick and mortar, that when we were casting out evil spirits, that God was removed from it because there was an evil spirit in that person. God can't dwell in no unclean temple, they say. Well, if that's the case, then he need to get on out of us because there's something about us that is not completely cleared up in our identity, which promotes evil, darkness. Darkness don't run God off. I'm sorry, but if that's what you've been taught, and if you don't, we also been taught that if the word is not quoted to us, God is not in it. That's not true
That's
either.
another wrong belief
Yeah,
or error belief in.
I mean it's like this. You can't get rid of air. It may seem like you suck it out of a bottle or a inner tube,
Mm-hmm.
but if
Mm-hmm.
air is in an inner tube and the inner tube go down, God is still in that presence inside the excuse me,
And you're talking about inner tubes because you've been working
inner
on a
tube.
bike.
Yeah, I'll use that as an example because I began to wake up to stop saying everything everybody else said because it sounds
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
in agreement or disagreement. There's
Mm-hmm.
no such thing as God disappearing out of any place.
We want our own utterance.
Yeah,
Our
have our own corner with God.
yes, that too. But I mean, the two of us, we're really wanting our own utterance or our own
Audience.
authentic
Yeah,
sayings,
yeah.
not just repeating what we've heard someone else say.
There's another thing. Jesus said at that day, you shall know that I am in my Father, and ye in me, and I in you.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Everybody wish Pastor Norman a happy birthday. His birthday's today. John Greason, remember?
Yeah, happy birthday.
Good afternoon, David. All right, go ahead, honey.
And he said that I will love him and will manifest myself to him. So now we got to get down to the brass tacks and nails of this thing because God can't leave somebody or leave a place just because it's evil presence around.
Can God leave a place at all?
Can't,
Because
can't
God,
none at
because
all.
God is in every place.
If you go mental, mind, and jump back into the sleep fall state, you're going to jump back into God here 1 minute and God gone the next.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like that. It's not like that. And I found out that in the original translation, the King James Version, we have believed in something in the Bible that has been changed for many decades in order to suit the manipulation and control that the church has used for many years to manipulate us into believing things that are not true about the presence of God.
We've got a lot of limited beliefs,
Right.
limiting beliefs, beliefs that no longer serve us. We kind of cut our teeth on some of the things that you're mentioning. And so when someone comes along and says that those things are not necessarily true, it's like we often say, it's killing the sacred cow.
Yeah.
But there are beliefs that we've held, religious beliefs that we've held on to and embraced and even fought over because we wanted everybody to believe the same way. And those beliefs have been limiting to us because it would not allow us to expand in our own awareness and understanding of life and God and ourselves and
Well,
others.
the fall of the dream fall of mankind is to believe that God is not in them unless and until they accept Him. But we have to remember the definition of the word omnipotence, omnipresent, everlasting, no beginning, no end. There's another one that says this: when the body dies, we gone.
That is
not true.
Yeah.
We are in the God class, and this is not the extravagant, egotistical saying that if I say I'm God, then I'm blaspheming. No, 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 no. I'm saying exactly what Jesus said in the book, John 10, 20, 10, 30, whatever it is.
I and my Father
I and
are
my
one.
Father are one. If He is one and God is in us, like you Holy Ghost, or we Holy Ghost folks say, then that means the same quality of statements that Jesus made about Himself, we can say that too. If you get beyond the fall of separation, separation is the fall of mankind through the mind and the ego of individuality. God was and always have been everywhere present at one time. David said, and you read it too over and over again, if I make my bed in hell, it's there. So if God can make a motel in hell and put a bed in it, hell can't stop God from being there and here at the same time. Come on, let's wake up. Let's wake up to this reality that something is twisted in the way we've been seeing this thing about the presence of God. No separation is the clue to the kingdom of God. We think that the kingdom of God is with us and in us if we are prosperous and we have money and we get everything we want and our prayers answered. That is one of the lowest degrees of vibrational frequency you could put your statement in.
Well, and that's coming because we have become a very materialistic.
Yeah.
Our culture is materialistic, and so, and especially nowadays in the West, particularly, the idea of success and having wealth and all of this has taken a forefront. Not that I'm saying we should not have it, because I would like to have it myself, but I also know that it is not at the top of my priority list.
No.
What's at the top of my priority list is to find myself apart from my conditionings, to begin to know that I am apart from all of the life exposure that I've been in, and things that I have taken on as a part of myself, things that I have believed all my life was true of me. And now I'm beginning to know that is not true of me. So now the things that we heard then, they served us.
Yeah.
That served us at that time. However, it's like a child in elementary school. That child can't remain in the same mindset once that child gets to high school. And a high school student will never think like an elementary student anymore. While that served us at that point, everything that we learned and everything we did served us very well. We learned our ABCs, we learned our alphabet, we learned numbers, we learned all of the things we had to learn in order to progress to a higher understanding. And but when I get to high school, I'm not still learning my ABCs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a higher learning, a
Mhm.
higher awareness that we are all involved in.
I went to see my chiropractor today, and I told him about his calling was to do what he's doing, and he's got a
Mhm.
different presence on him than some of the others that I've seen and been around. Five of them that I visit, but this is the only one that I visit at this point that I had a chance to tell him about who he was, where he came from, and what the calling of God was in his life.
And you know that's the reincarnation of Jesus,
Yeah.
because Jesus talked to the lawyers and the doctors.
Oh, that's true. That's
yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right.
So that he's reliving his life.
Yeah, that's right.
He's
I
reliving.
didn't see that part.
Yeah.
See how you so easy not see? Like I
Mhm.
didn't see what she just said.
He's reliving his life.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I've talked to
by
him.
talking to the doctors.
Yeah, I talked to the doctor and told him what Jesus was, what Christ was.
And there are things that the doctor learns from you and you learn from
Yeah.
the doctor.
And he stood there for 2 or 3 minutes and listened, and we back and forth with each other.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I am standing here talking to the Christ on your side, and you're talking to him over here. And I said, I noticed that when you are working with people in their backs and their joints, you are talking to their bodies.
Yes.
And that's the Lord in him talking to these people.
Yeah. So that was the reincarnation of Jesus.
Yes.
That you experienced in that. I like what Pastor Norman says. He says it's coming to the place that I am more than what this world has to offer. Yes, sir. Exactly. And coming to that place didn't happen for me because I didn't get what I wanted. It happened for me when I realized there are other things that are so much more important and fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Israel says Jesus Christ consciousness, 5 dimensions. Exactly, sweetheart. Exactly.
Okay, here we go. We won't have to find out what we are called here to do if we wake up to our Christ self in fullness.
Yes, yes. And such as when I said that was the reincarnation of Jesus that spoke with the doctors.
The fullness of Christ
waking up
was standing in that room as both of us talking and communicating.
Yeah, waking up to who it is that's living this life.
I'll go back to see him.
It's not just Clifton and Antoinette, Israel, Norman, Jill. It's Jonathan, it's Joe Renee. It's not just that. It is Christ living this life.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 pictures on the side of your name. That is a form inside this picture or this body. The cup is a Christ. I've been made to know, not believe, not by faith. I know by fact that Christ is you inside the body. I don't care how many bad thoughts, sickness, feelings. There was a lady after I come out of the doctor's office today. Her sister, somebody looked at me like I was crazy, but I walked up to him and I spoke to him. They might have thought I was some kind of jippy crippy kind of guy.
Jippy crippy.
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah, jippy crippy. So I talked to him. I said, look, I'm a pastor. And I said, I see her getting out of the car and I want to say something to her. You're doing fine. She had a prosthesis on one leg and her spine was bent. And I told her, I said, you look well, you're doing fine. I wanted to come over and help you and let you know that the Lord wants you to know that you are getting better. And she looked at me, her sister looked at me. I said, can I help you? She's helping, struggling to get out of the car. They were afraid of a stranger, but I was not a stranger to myself being there. He said, I was hungry. I was sick. I was the lady getting out of the car. I was you going up to them saying something nice to them. I was her sister helping her out. I was all of that in one place. And I saw Jesus tell that lady, and I heard his voice without any big thunder and lightning. I heard his voice say, you're doing great. Get better. I'm looking forward to hearing good news
You
about
heard
you.
your voice.
Yeah,
say-
that was the voice
you
of
heard
God.
you heard your voice say that as your highest
Yes,
self,
yes,
your highest Christ self. And
yes.
Jonathan says the power comes from having the courage to try on what it would be like to be God walking around in this body.
That's the good
That's
one.
a
I like
good one,
that.
Jonathan.
I like
that's
that.
that's a good
And
one.
I've always wanted to see him, and I finally, after 50 years, I know how to see. I know I found out. I know how to see the Christ in everybody that I meet.
I have to say this too, Jonathan, to all of you guys actually, that what you see us doing at this moment is reminding each other. Okay, sometimes we get to thinking that separate me did this, and that separate me never did it. It is always Christ doing it.
I like seeing him.
I do too.
I like seeing the Christ in people who, and they looked at me right funny. The lady the lady in the wheelchair, her spine was bent, and she said, "Thank you so much." That was the Lord saying that. And the lady, the sister who was suspicious, it was still Christ.
It's always Christ. It's Christ.
It will always be
it's
him.
Christ receiving and it's Christ giving. It's always Christ. Linda says this: I feel like I'm separating myself from all my separate self stories.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Dropping the
stories.
It
feels like it. It feels like
yes.
you are.
And you, well, she probably is separating herself from all her separate self stories.
But now we're finding out that I don't care how many stories you tell, that sense of separation is not true.
But it is. It
feels like it.
It is habitual.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah. That's the fall of man.
Habitual.
The fall of man.
It's just like any other habit. It takes a while to break a habit. To create a new one. It takes a while because once you get in an addiction of a certain mindset, it is not easy to just flip the switch.
Let's see him. Yes. Let's deliberately, Jonathan, with the courage. I told somebody today, I said, this thing that they were in was not going to change them. But what was going to change them was the Christ in them, because I've told them, I said, you cannot change yourself as an independent ego, but the Christ in you will do it as you appearing as the mystery about you.
Yes,
and in that mystery about you, you'll end up saying, I don't do that anymore.
Well, and I like what Jonathan said. And there's one other thing I want to add to that, because as we have the courage to try that on, what it would be like to be God walking around in this body, we cannot imagine it. If it's imagined, then it is still birthed from the mind.
There's a song that says, I can see clearly now, the sun is out.
So it's like there has to be an acceptance that it is already, whether you have the courage or not, God walking around in this body. And that's the crux of it, because you may not have an awareness of God walking around in this body. Your very human natural awareness is God walking around.
We can never be separate. Miss Linda, you said it. We can never be separated from our true self.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, Jonathan. I'm so glad you said it. And I'm so glad that Linda said this too. And she says, separating herself or removing herself from all of the separate self stories, dropping the stories and resting, the awareness of I am. But that's another story. But I've always shared this, and I know you guys have heard this over and over from me, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating. It is so true. My mother taught me about separating myself from the story. And she taught me that because she had the Alzheimer's. I watched her stories be erased day to day. And I remember so well, my mom emotionally needed healing from all of the traumas that she had experienced in her life, and wrestled with that for so long and had a lot of hurt and anger But when the Alzheimer's set in, and a lot of people think this is tragic, but it wasn't tragic. It was a blessing because I watched her go from hurt and anger to another very violent place in the Alzheimer's. But when she came through that, there was no more story. And the story was what caused the hurt and the anger.
Now,
And so
that's it.
when
That's
the
it.
story was
That's
gone, mom
That's
was
it.
just present.
That's it.
She was just present. And I'm not saying we should erase our brains. We can't do that. But I'm saying that the stories, holding on to the stories of the past, is what causes the hurt and the pain and the anger.
Pastor Norman said, "Coming to the place that I am more than what this world has to offer."
Yes.
Now let's take up an offering.
Because
the offering is, I found out that there's no place where God is that I ain't.
I ain't. And it's all that we're talking about. It's what Israel said, which is Jesus Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
That's what this is called. And we're just breaking it down into everyday language and everyday day-to-day activities. But I do know this, that there is no way, going back to what Jonathan said, there's very little chance that we're going to know what it's like for God to what it would be like to be God in walking around.
I can tell you what it's like to be God. Mm-hmm. Just what you are now.
Yes, that's my point.
That's what it's like to be like God, right there.
That's my
Without
point.
Going around telling everybody,
there's no difference.
This boy online keep telling everybody that they God. Well, you are without the ego or with the ego. You just don't know how to keep your mouth shut and just be what you are. And if you don't keep your mouth shut, it ain't gonna change nothing.
No, some people can't keep their mouth shut. Why'd you make the face?
Because I'm shutting my mouth. I close my mouth.
Some people like to talk, so I heard if they like to talk, they're great.
Loose lips and chips.
They're actually called to be a great evangelist.
Make your stump your toes and cut a flip.
But it's important that we understand that there doesn't have to be an altered feeling. There doesn't have to be an altered state. There doesn't have to be a blissful feeling walking around. There doesn't have to be that. You can be that you are already. There is nothing that has to change to make this true. What Jonathan said, this is God walking around in this body.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that has happened.
I like what Jill says.
What she said.
Jill said it's so simple that we miss it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got in the shower. Y'all heard me say I went in the shower one day and I looked around at the water and it was so clear and it was splashing in my face. And I said, oh, my vision, my sight, I don't have to wear glasses no more. And I think I told you the Lord done healed my eyes. And I looked around and I found out I got in the shower, didn't take my glasses.
You ever look for your glasses and they were on your face?
It's on my face. God is so us that it does not. Let me tell you something. If you were to go around right now and banish everybody that's found out that they are one with God, do you know that God that you are talking about that is so disagreeing with what? Let me just.
Go ahead. I wanted to say this. We often say and I want to say for myself, I often make the mistake of saying we are one with God, but that is not what Jesus said. Jesus said, my Father and I are one. There's just one. I'm not a one with. I'm just one.
Just one.
Just one.
That's it.
There's not two. There's only one. There's not two. There's only one. There's not two. There is only one. There's not two. There is only one. So when Jesus said that, he was not saying I am one with God. He was saying my Father and I, God and I are one. One.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Rudely tootly.
All right, let's see what Linda says. She says, we don't have to log into the stories. They will continue to rise in the mind, but you don't feed them anymore.
Ah.
They lose their power, and you can just simply be present. And you know what, Linda? We feed them because there is not a story that does not interest us. If it interests us, if it has some bearing of some place in us, then we will feed it because it is of interest. For instance, if you're, let's just say somebody knocks on your door and they say, I've come to sell you some fish. If you're not interested, you will say, I don't need that, and they'll go on their way. But if you're interested and you like fish, you're going to hold on to that and you're going to do what you got to do to get that fish. So this is the way our stories are. They're so habitual because they're so much of an interest to us.
I'm looking at YouTube about an otter.
An otter?
An otter, otter, what do you want to call it?
John says he just loves this. Thank you, John. Thank you.
This man had a fish in his hand, and that otter was just a squeaking and a reeling and moving back what he wanted. That's how much we should want to find out about our true identity. The way that otter went after that piece of fish, our Christ nature is reaching for more and more of inside these suits, returning back inside the suit to the fullness awareness of oneness.
I remember.
I can't,
yeah, that's good. That's good, Pastor. That's
I can't
good.
say it like I really want
you
to.
You saying it though. I remember my last conversation with my brother-in-law, and I know he remembers it. We were talking about how that when thoughts arise, like Linda said, the stories come up.
Look at it. God experiencing form.
That when the stories, they're going to rise up. But when they do rise up, can I dare not give them significance? Can I not give them importance? Can I stop giving those thoughts value?
Here's what I hear what you're saying. Can I find out how to use the dream and the story world to reveal the Christ moving in our and in through us in the non-doing self, as the non-doing self? This is the true calling of God, is to find out how to move the story and use the story for a greater awareness of who we are.
Yes.
I feel inside. I ain't said it like I want to say it, but I'm trying.
Well, try it again.
I'm trying.
Try it again.
We are here to manipulate the story, the dream, and to finally the ego no longer works against us as the Christ.
Yeah.
Bringing full awareness. Oh, now I know what repents.
Awake in the dream.
Coming to the place where the ego repents.
Oh, okay.
Where the ego repents from being the false self. Or repents
from being the one in the lead.
Do you know that in brick and mortar, every preacher that stands up in the pulpit that has not found out exactly what it means for their ego to repent is preaching and speaking a non-repentant gospel? Yeah, until he finds out that the ego has to repent and side in with
the ego, being only the mind of separation.
Only illusion of the mind.
Only the mind of separation.
Or dream.
That's all the ego is the mind of separation.
We call it a ghost with a headache. Or ghost with a toothache.
Yeah. I don't want to be too cliche.
We don't.
The ego is simply the mind that believes in separation.
And I heard somebody say it's not even real.
It's not. It's just the mind believing in separation.
Rest my case.
Yes. That's all it is. It's not an actual entity.
I like that.
It's not an actual entity.
Find out through light shining in the closet that the ego has finally had its last straw broken.
Or let's say it like this. Since the ego is just the mind's belief in separation,
Yeah.
then that
I heard that. I heard that. Ego, the mind, belief, and separate. Oh,
it's just
whoa, boy, I like that.
it's just a belief running
Ooh,
in
God,
the
I like
mind
that.
of separation. That's all ego is.
Whoa,
It's just a belief running, constantly
the
running.
mind.
Because even the mind is not actual an entity. An
Yeah.
actual entity.
Boy, that's
There
tasty.
is no entity called the mind, but we've labeled that we experience.
I like that. Boy,
we
that was
label
good.
it as the mind and ego.
What you talking about?
But it's the belief running of a separate self, and it's not actual.
The ego is the one that's failing, and it will fall into it will. The ego is the one that will fall. Oh, the ego is the one that fail, not us, fail. And let me say it again. The ego will fall into the arms of the beloved Christ identity.
But listen, there is no entity called the ego.
Thank you.
There is no ego to fall.
Well, you know.
So when I say that, I'm not correcting you. I'm just saying that what fell is we fall into that same habitual thinking of being a separate self.
I just found this. We are the language of God in the dream.
So it's Christ waking up in these bodies.
Yep.
As itself.
Yep.
As itself.
Yep.
It's not an Antoinette waking up to the Christ consciousness.
We said
it's Christ waking up in this body called Antoinette.
Yes. We said to the body and the names of our that was given out. I'm gonna apply for a loan. Loan me this body, Jesus said, and I'll go down, supposedly what the book say, and I will present this body with myself in it and show you how to bring the body ego, the illusion of separation, into full awareness of submission to the oneness with the Father and the Son.
Yeah. And I'm reminded of a young lady that we watched the other day regarding a near-death experience. Her name is Nancy Dennison, and she is the one near-deather that I have listened to that I really, really enjoy listening to because she has a deeper awareness than some others that I've heard. And the reason I say that is because Nancy Dennison came back into her body after her near-death experience and experiencing all the things of what she was beyond her body. And when she came back into her body, she now no longer even refers to herself as Nancy. She says she's here with Nancy. She's here with Nancy and here to protect and help Nancy.
Yeah.
And she said this. She said that she had a second near-death experience after the initial one. And she promised Nancy that she would not leave again until Nancy was ready. Wow. So Nancy now...
Wow.
Nancy now is just that physical being, that physical body and soul.
Yeah.
And so that came back from the near-death experience, she realizes is bigger than that body and that mind and that soul.
Boy, that's good.
And she doesn't even refer to herself as Nancy, speaking to herself in the third person. No. So it is Christ waking up to itself in these bodies. So it's not Antoinette waking up, Linda waking up, Pearl waking up, John, Israel, Norman. None of us is waking up, because the us that we talk about, the Antoinette that we're talking about, is simply a conglomeration of life experiences and conditions. That's all it is, and belief systems. So when that's gone, there is nothing left but the Christ. The Christ is that's waking up to itself in these human forms.
That's so.
Yeah, it is, isn't
it?
Yeah. Linda says this. She says, human love story. Yes, they do. Love stories write, and humans love love stories too. And they write them and they tell them and they sing them and they make movies and books about them, and they are seductive. The ego is seductive, wanting to empower itself.
The Lord
Yes.
is experiencing his ears stopping up. That's why his head is leaning to the side. This ear, the Lord's ear is got that full feeling.
Look, and you're gonna be just like our little dog here. She's baby girl has got some health issues and things happening to her, but when she's not having the symptoms, she just runs and plays. She doesn't hold a story. She just runs and plays. Say, for right now, I'm good. I'm good. I can do what I want to do, and I'm fine. And then if the symptom pops up, she'll deal with that. She'll go through that. And the minute it subsides, she's back to that same old fluffy self, and just that's the way we are. That's the way we
I got a blessing today. My Jeep was in shop and was cutting off at intersections. They took it in. The guy told me he drove it for 80 miles.
You sound like you're talking with him through a bucket.
Yeah, I do. I feel like
But I've been losing my voice today, so it must be allergies or something going on.
And so I asked him, how much do I owe him? He said, well, Reb, we haven't found anything. If it did it one time, he said, we unplugged the battery cables and found out that one of the battery cables was loose.
Oh.
And he cleaned them and put them back on. And he said, Reb, he said, you've had the Jeep in here twice. He said, yesterday he told him it was $160, but he said today, he said, I can't charge you anything. He said, I'll just pay the mechanic myself for checking it out, and you can pick it up in the morning. Won't cost you anything.
But there's still no guarantees, right?
No guarantees.
No,
but he said if he does it again,
he drove it how many miles? 80 miles?
80 miles.
80 miles. Good.
And he burned up my gas.
But it was worth it. It was worth it. Guys, I've enjoyed this session tonight. I think
this has been a living Christ experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to the Christ online. Thank you very much.
I want you to say this with me. I am not these thoughts. I am not these feelings. I am not these opinions. I am not this judgment. I am not even this body.
That's right.
But I'm happy with this body.
That's right.
With its aches and its pains.
That's right.
Okay? I am, what I got here. I am not anything that I can be. Let me back up. I am not anything that can be a constructive thought or imagination.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's good.
And I am Mr. Antoinette, and this is Miss Clifton. Sorry.
You know, I can't see the screen without my glasses, but I can't read with my glasses. And they got bifocals in them. They just don't work.
Okay.
I need some new glasses.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I gotta go back to the doctor and get a new prescription.
Y'all help us with that, okay?
Yeah, because I can't see. I can't even read what I got on my paper.
Yeah, help us with that. She's got a...
Jonathan he said, I had an epiphany today.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Okay. Since we are Christ.
You're going to read it?
And eternal, it doesn't actually matter how long we live in this incarnation.
Yes.
There's no reason to be afraid of not living in a certain... To a certain age. Eternal.
Yes.
Ooh. Hot dog diggity.
I like your epiphany.
With lettuce and tomatoes.
I like your epiphany.
Killer Rock record training, Daryl Peace, Iron Kitchen, rheumatism.
And you know, eternal doesn't mean living forever.
Change a tire in an airplane in the air without a flat.
Eternal doesn't mean living forever because there is no forever in eternity.
Make a bullfrog watertight.
Eternal means there's outside of the bounds of time and space. And it can't be that you know, we think that things that happen within time and space is real, but it can't be because if I'm in another country, it's not even the same time.
Oh, Lord,
yes, Kathy,
Make water run up a hill. Get out of town for sundown. Tell a rock you cooking.
And you're cooking. Tell a rock you're
Cook a
cooking.
rock and eat it for dinner.
Well, you know, my sister would laugh about that because when I was a kid,
Here we go.
I made them eat mud pies.
Oh, what you put in it?
A confection of sugar.
Oh, no wonder your sister.
We were like
the
little rascals. We put a leaf we put an ant in between two leaves and dared our cousin to eat it. He ate it.
Ah.
We did all kinds of crazy things. We went around the house and got a little bit of every liquid substance that was there in the house. Well, every substance, powder, whatever, and put it all in one bottle. And put it in there and closed the thing up and set it in the bathroom on the shelf. And
blow up.
We forgot all about it. One day we were in the house and we heard something bubbling.
What are y'all living at then? On Manchester?
Yeah, we heard it bubbling. It was bubbling like it was about to blow up. We took it and ran outdoors with it.
Who was in the house hearing it?
All of us kids, the four of us.
Well, your mom and daddy didn't see it?
No, they weren't there. They didn't see it because we had it up in the shelf. Nobody knew it was there but us.
Oh my God.
And so we ran outside with it, and my brother opened it and poured it out on the grass, and it burnt the grass. We were terrible. So we did stuff like that.
I told a lady in the service station today she was sneezing so hard she was almost jumping up and down. I said, well, I'm glad that didn't go out the back way, because if it went out the back way like it came out the top, you'd have blown everything off the shelf.
Yeah. See.
She laughed. I said, that'd been a big drama.
And I said, and she said, yes, she made mud pies and cooked them on stuff. I did.
Oh, Lord.
I did. That's my life story, Linda. That's my story.
And she been cooking feed me ever since. I know I'm gonna watch it.
I haven't given you mud pies.
Yeah, but you gave me some Quaker Oats cornbread.
No, it wasn't Quaker Oats.
What was
it was cream of wheat.
Cream of wheat.
I didn't know the difference in cornmeal and cream of wheat. I took them and poured when I bought them at the grocery store. We had these canisters, used to have put canisters on the counter.
Yeah.
And it had flour and sugar and whatever. Yeah. So I had put the cream of wheat in the canister.
And set them on my plate.
I thought it was cornmeal.
And on my plate.
I made it muffins.
I said, bing, 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 banging on the bing. I throw them things out there out the side of that trailer door.
I have never
And they laid there for weeks.
I've never claimed to be a good cook.
When it hit the ground, it go kapunk, kapunk, kapunk. The birds wouldn't eat them.
You're right. The possum, you looked at it and walked past it.
The possum looked at it. He come up the steps and almost like he knocked on the door and said, did y'all throw this out here? Don't you know we don't want to eat that?
He did that muffin like baby girl does when she don't want what you got.
She'll turn her head. She will. When baby girl don't want to eat something, she'll turn her head.
She'll turn her head and no. Yes, I was mischievous. I admit it.
Where did she go?
She's over behind us. Anyway, persons, we're gone. We're going to take off here.
She's not back there.
Well, don't worry about it. She's still in the house, honey.
Okay, thank you very much.
John says, now I know what God was doing at that moment.
Yeah, he was making mud pies with sugar and cream of wheat.
I can't figure out, I can't fathom how my brothers and sisters ate the mud pies, because that grit gets in your teeth.
They file the teeth down, I bet.
And I cooked them. Oh, well.
I was going around the curve one day, and I was going to make the truck, or pickup truck, spin a wheel. What happened when it slid around the corner, the truck wouldn't spin, but the bed on the back of the truck popped upside. I thought the truck would turn over, but it wasn't a truck. It wasn't a truck. It was the bed on the truck coming loose from the frame.
That's as bad as the truck that we believed the Lord for. We were living in our mobile home. We believed the Lord for a truck. So my father-in-law, no, my stepdad, he gave us a truck, right?
Yeah.
That truck.
It had a bad motor, an old Ford truck.
And you put a motor in it, right?
Had it rebuilt, yeah.
And you could see the ground through the floor.
Yeah. Had to get some mechanic to weld some metal on the floor to cover the hole up.
And you were downtown.
Yeah.
And you right in front of the police station.
Yeah.
And what happened?
The light changed, and I didn't know whether to run the light or stop. So I stopped, and the dog was up in the front seat. The dog.
And Mike was with you. Mike was a big guy.
Yeah.
Helping do upholstery.
I hit the brake, and one wheel locked on the front, and the front of the truck turned around, went back up a one-way street, and I was.
You were going the opposite direction,
there, and we was on the other side of the truck. Over here on the passenger side.
That's like the ride at the fair called the scrambler.
Yeah.
When that person is on that side, they get squeezed up. That's what happened to him.
The front wheel locked up on it and throw the truck clean around, going up the opposite, up a one-way street. And I was sitting over here on the
right in
passenger
front
side,
of the police
and
station.
The steering wheel was over there right in front of the police station. I said, Lord.
And the windshield wipers.
Oh, the windshield wipers. I had a
string.
Were
vacuum.
They were vacuum controlled.
Yeah.
So when you mash them, they stop. So what I did, I took some kite string and put it on the windshield wiper and was driving, pulling them back and forth like this. That's when we was real rich. We had plenty of money.
That's what I was about to say. Those were our rich days. We had a car we believed God for. We didn't have the money to get or the credit to get one. So we believed the one, and the guy actually gave us the car.
So
it looked good. He had it painted and everything.
Yeah,
it was a Ford LTD.
Yeah, LDT. That's
and that thing was
LDT.
It would ride so nice.
Ooh,
but look, when we got ready to go, we had to have a case of oil with us.
Yes. The guy said, look, I'm going to give you a case of oil in Fort Payne, Alabama. Said, if you look out the back of that car and see a big puff of smoke.
Puff of white smoke?
Yeah, white smoke. He said, don't worry about it. Just pull over the side of the road and dump about 6 or 7 quarts of oil in it and keep going.
I'll never forget when we were in the mountains. We went to he had a speaking engagement. And we were at this house with a whole bunch of our Caucasian friends. They were there. And they were all piling in the cars, getting ready to go to the facility that we were going to have the service. And we were the last ones pulling off.
Yeah, because we couldn't back up.
Because the car wouldn't back up.
Transmission, so we had to go,
They took off down the road, and after a while, we saw their lights, the back lights lighting up, like, where are they? Where are they? We were sitting there.
We was in an old wooden church, and chicken was running across the road. We was running over them folks' chickens, and chicken was shooting up in the air and flying.
He ran over somebody's chicken in the mountains, and we were scared because we were the only dark colored people there.
Sure was.
And when you were preaching, we heard something crack a pop. We were scared, like they were coming after us.
Oh, we was having a time up there in the Lansing County in Asheville.
Boy, Linda, you said it. The stories. Oh my God!
Oh, what a story we had. We stayed up in a place where they didn't have water like normal people. It was the water was coming down a hill by gravity. It was gravity fed.
Yep. It was so high up in the mountains that they didn't have the water came from.
You had to go up so high so the water.
That the back of the mountain was right up against the house.
Oh gosh, it was something. I could take you back up there to that same place.
No, don't take me.
Oh, there was gravel.
Don't take me. Don't take me.
But I want to thank you.
It was so far. It was so high up the mountain that you could go up one way. You could go down one way, but you couldn't go back up.
You had to go around the mountain to get back up to the top.
Yeah. Wow.
We had some moments.
Yes.
We had a meeting at the bank, and a lady that got them in the bank that got that meeting for her name was Penny Money.
Linda said, check the gas and fill it up with oil.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly what it was.
And I remember when we finally graduated to where we could get our own car.
Yeah. It said check the gas in the engine and put wind in the tires.
Yeah. We finally graduated till we could get our own car. Somebody gave us the credit to get it. Yeah. And we didn't have the income really. Or you didn't even have a job at the time. No,
sure didn't.
You were just preaching on the road, and
we were like we are just about now.
Yeah.
then. That's
Yeah.
right. Back it's reversed.
Living with
Yeah,
uncertainty,
uncertainty.
but God still provided. So you, like I said, you're always being taken care
That's the
of.
reason why we say to you guys, we need help. Send us anything you got. If it's a penny.
I don't go to talk
I mean,
like
but we
that.
appreciate it because we done been through this and
Yeah.
but there are some people living in this world that I saw in dark places of Africa. They are living without
Right. There's
without
always
anything.
someone in worse conditions.
Yeah.
So
We're
we're
not gonna
grateful.
complain.
We're
now. I'm not gonna
grateful.
complain.
We're very
We're
grateful.
grateful.
Anyway, we've chatted long enough and lollygag, what I call lollygag.
Thank you for
We've
being
done
with
that
us.
enough.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Having done all, stand.
Yeah. And I know Jill has already placed this up on the screen for you, but in case you want to know how to do this and give, this is how we do it. We'll be back again. I think I'm going to go ahead and cancel Thursday because we've got so many things we need to
won't
do.
be on Thursday
Thursday's
this week.
impromptu. We're going to not do that
I'm not
this
gonna be
week.
on that Thursday. Some of the people that are not on there won't know that.
Well, I'm going to make sure that they do. I'll get the word out. But yes, we won't be back on Thursday. We have Pastor Norman's already going to Mississippi. He's with us tonight, but he'll be leaving, going to Mississippi, I think, in the morning. And he's going there to have a meeting. He's got to speak. So we have our prayers with him as well. I also wanted to remind you guys to please be in prayer with James Dixon and Kelly. We haven't talked to them, but we just wanted to remind you of that, to please be in prayer with them. He's going through his health journey, and just believing and holding him in love and light, and sending as much of that to him as you can. Anyway, we'll see you again on Sunday at 10.
Okay.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Come on back and be with us, okay?
Bye.
See you next time.